So this greatest disco song topic, of course, it comes from that Vlad Invers conversation that he had with DJ Envy. It had me thinking about the greatest diss songs ever because listen to rap over, I want to say 25 years or so. I've heard a lot of diss songs, a lot of sneak disses, songs that weren't really intended to be diss songs, but people took them that way and people never clarified it. But I'm talking about the pure diss songs that are made for a particular individual or group of people, as we will see in a bunch of disses that I'll talk about, that are intended in hip hop history that are cemented as great diss songs. And diss songs go all the way back to the inception of hip hop, all the way back in the '80s. So it's been around for a while. And over the past year, these diss songs have gained steam after that Drake and Kendrick beef, and other people chimed in, and other people started beefing. So it's been around for a while. But which one is the best diss song ever? Because there are a plethora of them to pick from, and I'll name a few. The first one, I want to say 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying album pretty much is a diss song. So there's a lot of diss songs that are on there, like Back Down, of course, Wanksta, which most of these are Ja Rule disses, Mini Man, which is intended for the person who shot 50 Cent or tried to unalive 50 Cent. So a lot of that whole album was about dissing people and about his get back. Even the title itself, Get Rich or Die Trying, is just alluding to him, trying to get where he's trying to go, and he knows that he's going to be hated for it. So I think that's one of the greatest diss albums of all time. Not just tracks, but albums, especially that Mini Man. Mini Man has proven to be timeless. It's something that came out, I want to say it came out in 2003, and you can still listen to it now and you can still feel the same way about it, even though that you've had a lot of growth and it's been over 20 years. That song still has a lot of value to it. And it's still a great song, whether it's a diss song or not. It's just a great song. Nas's Ether, which was on the Stillmatic album, one of my favorite diss tracks of all time, going back to him to Nas and Jay-Z's beef. One of the most prolific and one of the most popularized diss songs of all time, other than, of course, Not Like Us. But this diss song put Nas in another stratosphere. Of course, he had Illmatic before and it was written, so he was already cemented as a great. But to be able to win a battle against Jay-Z showed his worth and showed that he was battle tested. So it gave him another notch on his belt, so to speak. Very prominent diss song, not against just Jay-Z, but Rockefeller as well. He went against different members of the crew. Now, Ice Cube's No Vaseline is one of the greatest diss songs of all time for many reasons, but one of my favorite reasons is because he addressed everyone in the NWA and even managers and things like that, like Jerry Heller. So he was able to diss so many different people and still stay on point. Uh, Sometimes when people rap, they try to address too many people and it goes too many different places. But there's No Vaseline. It's one of those songs that's not just a great diss song, but it's a great song in itself because Ice Cube was lyrical. He was writing a lot of the lyrics for the NWA members, and it just showed that he was battle tested as well. Similar to Nas's Ether, he was able to get a point across and then still make it funny as well. So the things that he was doing on No Vaseline only just solidified him even more as an artist and the lyricist as well, because he's a great storyteller, which he shows in the movies that he produces and directs now in today's age. Now, the next song is Tupac Hit 'Em Up. We know this is very humorous. This song pointed towards Biggie Smalls, has one of the most famous lines. That's why I effed your Grinch. Um, so it was a diss towards Biggie and Bad Boy Records. One of the most quoted diss songs of all times. F the crew, just everything that he had, the lyrics that he had in the song was just legendary. So the next one is Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, one of the most rewarded diss songs ever, because not only did it destroy a legend's reputation pretty much. He won Grammys off of it. He parlayed it into a Super Bowl halftime show. He, it sparked a number one album, even though that song, Not Like Us, wasn't on the GNX album, but it still helped propelled him in another light. So it pretty much turned him into, so to speak, a pop star, even though I think he's still not, because, just because of the content that he usually puts out, even though the GNX album was a lot different than whether it be Damned or Good Kid, Mad City, or To Pimp a Butterfly. I still don't think it put him in that pop discussion, but it did open people's eyes towards Kendrick that probably normally wouldn't see him just putting off the normal music that he would put out. And then the next song, of course, is Drake's Back to Back. You have the Meek Mill diss, which was one of the most legendary songs of all time as far as disc records go. It was Grammy nominated. Didn't win a Grammy, but it was nominated. But one of the best diss records of all time. And I think he needed one of these type of records for Kendrick Lamar to be able to compete, but he didn't ever produce one of these, anything close to it. Now, one of the most slept on diss songs of all time to me is the Pusha T's Exodus 23 and 1, which was a collaboration with The Dream. And it had a lot of disses towards Cash Money and Young Money, as far as like Drake, Birdman, Lil Wayne. It was just a classic song, whether it be the production, the lyrics, and just everything around it, and just the slickness that Pusha T has. Very surgical in his diss records, and then this diss record was definitely like that, similar to what Infrared did against Drake as well. So Pusha T does have some of the best diss records towards Drake, and I think he can go bar for bar with anybody else. But it would be nice to see Malice go against some of these other artists as well. But I don't think many artists will engage in a battle with Malice because he's so lyrical and he's so clever that I don't think they would do it. I'm surprised they actually do it to Pusha T, but I think there's people just trying their lucks. But one of my other favorite diss songs that came out of that Drake and Kendrick beef was Kendrick Lamar's Euphoria. Now, Euphoria was a very great diss song that had multiple beat switches, multiple different warnings for Drake that Drake didn't heed the warning to that he should probably have. But when you're in a battle, egos are in place, and a lot of people don't consider things and just want to go, just prove that they're their best. But sometimes if somebody has an angle on you, pause, that you should take heed to that warning. And Euphoria was one of the greatest warnings of all time. It was one of the best jab disses of all time because it was just a jab for what Not Like Us did. Not Like Us was the haymaker punch that came over the top, pause, that he should have took the warning on, but he never did. So that's what I like most about Euphoria. Looking back on it now, it's even more prophetic that everything he told us, like, hey, if you do this, I'm gonna do this, and he actually set it up and did it. So it was amazing to see. And then, of course, the Game 300 Bars, which is a 15-minute diss towards G Unit and everybody that was in that label at the time. I think the Game showed a lot of his lyrical prowess and that he could stand on his own because everybody thought it was just a machine, but his lyricism could speak for itself. That first single, How We Do, didn't show how lyrical he was. It didn't showcase any of his artistry, really. It was just something pop wise to get to the radio. But after that, you saw his lyricism, and his 300 bars showed that he can go bar for anybody. And people really didn't want to beef with him after this because if you can put out a 15-minute disc record and then you're actually saying stuff with multiple different beats, like that Jacking for Beats type deal, like Ice Cube used to do back in the day, he was able to do that and keep it going for so long that it was just difficult for people to want to beef with him or just have the time to do so. So I think that 300 bars record was very important for the future of his artistry and just to show how lyrical he could be, and for people just to see, hey, you can take a chance on this artist because he has that work ethic. And then lastly, I'm gonna talk about Cameron's Pushing 40. Now, this is a funny diss towards Jay-Z, and it showed for me, coming from the South, we didn't really listen to Cameron's music as much as more Dipset. So we listen to, I know growing up in my household, at least I should say. So hearing that song, I respected Cameron more as a lyricist. So when I was hearing him on that song and how good he dissed Jay-Z, and I think he did an exceptional job, I was able to listen to more of his music and respect his catalog even more, or his discography more. So I think that Pushing 40 record was very important for me to know about Cam's lyricism. But there's a lot of great diss songs that I mentioned, but I think in totality, I think Not Like Us is the best because Not Like Us had so many purposes. Not only did it destroy a legend, but it created Grammys, a number one album, a Super Bowl halftime show. He is a he was an ambassador for one of the high fashion designers. I forgot which name of the one it was, but he did so many different things with that song, and just for what it did for Drake was at the top of the world, and then for a rapper that's not popular like that, at least not outside of the hip hop community, for him to be such an underdog and to win that battle, it was amazing to see. So I think that song has to be the greatest diss song just for everything surrounding it. And it was, it was bigger than rap at that point. It was just about the art and respecting the art, and which Drake, is accused of not doing, which I believe from the last 10 years or so, he's not have been respecting the art. It's just been about making hits and breaking records. But Kendrick is, just about the pure art form. So I think it was important for that respect. And no one expected Kendrick to win that battle, but always thought he could because he was more lyrical. And we know he actually writes his own lyrics. But for Kendrick to out scheme Drake, to outsmart him, outduel him, outclass him in this battle was just amazing to see. But tell me what you think your favorite diss song of all time is. And until next time, I'll see you next time.